Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today we are going to try to upgrade this Captain in Terminator Armour. This is a Captain in Terminator Armour from the Leviathan box that I painted almost 2 years ago, and since then I improved a lot. At least I consider there's a lot of improvement if we compare the Leviathan Captain with the latest Captain in Terminator Armour that I painted very recently. And in case you're interested, I'm going to leave in the description the links to when I assembled and painted this Captain. But no more comparisons, now we're going to focus into this Captain. To avoid comparisons between the two Captains, the first thing that I'm thinking about is to change the weapons of this miniature. So we're going to try to give this Captain a power fist and combi weapon. Then I'm also going to change the head, and even if this Tyrannid here looks super cool, it's not suiting the rest of my army, so of course I would like to base this miniature in the same way than the rest of my Black Templar, so I'm going to remove this Tyrannid. Later we will have time to talk about the areas that I would like to repaint, but first let's start taking away those bits that we're going to change. This is going to be our starting point, and now is when the kitbashing begins. For the head, I will be using this one from the Blood Angels upgrades that I got in the Combat Patrol, and as you probably already know, I have been working on that Combat Patrol recently, so yes, it's a good use for this head. I just need to remove that bloodstone on the forehead. I'm going to use this left arm from the Space Marine Captain in Terminator Armour, and I'm also going to use this combi melta. I have here half of the right arm, and the other half is going to be this hand from the Space Marine Captain in Gravis Armour. At this point, we are just missing that combi melta, and I was inspired by Thor Garadon from the Imperial Fist, so I will try to make that combi melta on top of the armor. I will try to achieve that by using these chimeras from the Desolation Squad, this right arm from the Tech Marine, this bit from the Heavy Intercessors, and obviously the combi melta that I took from the Space Marine Captain in Terminator Armour. I'm going to start by removing this magazine and the hand from the combi melta, and I will change that for this huge magazine from the Heavy Intercessors. Nice, here we have now a combination of new bits that we just made, plus some older ones that I'm going to keep. Now it's the time to glue everything together, but before I glue the new bits I would like to prime them. And for that I'm going to use Chaos Black from Citadel. I'm liking how it's looking, but to make it feel a little more chunkier, I'm going to glue this bit from the Desolation Squad right on top of the armor. And to keep consistency within the army, for the base, I'm going to cut some bits of this sprue and I'm just going to glue them to the base. It is a time to start painting this captain, and I'm going to use exact same color scheme that I used for this other captain that I painted super recently. In case that you want to see the whole process in detail, remember that you have the link to this captain in the description, and for this one I will try to go a little bit faster than usual. The first color that I'm going to use is Abaddon Black. I will use it to paint all the bits that I added to the power armor, and then I'm going to use Dawnstone to paint everything that later will be white, the new pretty seals that I added, plus this whole shoulder pad. Now I'm going to cover that grey color with Wraithbone. Nice, now I'm going to use Lead Velter to paint all the inside parts of the power armor and the mechanical elements, and also some parts of the weapon, and then I'm going to use Balthasar Gold to paint all the decoration on the power armor. I will use Corn Red to paint the eyes, lenses, the weapon, and also I'm going to turn these Purity Seals into Crusade Seals. Let's apply some shades. Null Oil for the silver and the weapon, and then Agrax Earthshade for the gold color and the parchment of the Purity Seals. It is time to start with the highlights, and I'm going to use Dark Reaper in every single edge of the black power armor, and then I'm going to use Fenrisen Grey in the areas that are going to be the most exposed. Next highlights, Stormhold Silver to highlight the silver color, and then Retributor Armor to highlight the gold color. And now I just need to highlight the red color with Evelson Scarlet. We just need to add the final details, so now I'm going to use Corax White to add some writing to those Crusade Seals, and then I'm going to use Abaddon Black for the Purity Seals. I'm going to try to correct this cross right here, and I'm going to change the heraldry a little bit. We just need to base this miniature, and I will do it in the same way that I have been basing the rest of my Black Templars. First, I'm going to apply Astroranite. After that, I'm going to make the shadows a little bit more noticeable with a little bit of Abaddon Black. And after that, I'm just going to dry brush all over it with the Wraithbone. And this is it, this is the final result, this is how I try to improve my Space Marine Captain in Terminator Armour. And of course, as always, I invite you to let me know in the comments what you think about this miniature. I also would like to remind you that if you like what I do and you would like to support my work and help me to continue improving, I invite you to check the link to my Patreon in the description. And here we have the two captains that I showed at the beginning of the video side to side again. I'm super happy to see them like this because now I don't consider that one of them is much better than the other one, I just consider that they are both different. And now let's focus onto this captain because there's a lot of things to mention about this miniature. First of all, I'm super happy about the helmet. I'm glad about that choice because I love when a Space Marine Terminator Armour is wearing the helmet because it's super iconic and it looks super cool. When I got the Blood Angels Combat Patrol, I never expected that I will be using one of those Terminator helmets in a Black Templar, but here we are, and I have to say that it suits him very nicely. I changed both arms, well in this case I only changed the hand, and I had this issue that, here we can see that this tube is connecting the power fist with the arm, let's say, but here we don't have that connection because, yes, it was like a different power fist, so I didn't have that option. It doesn't look that bad, it's not that noticeable, so I'm happy, and aside from that, I think that it looks quite natural. And now I need to talk about that weapon on top, because to be honest, it's the most unique thing about this miniature, because aside from that, it's quite a normal kitbashing. I just changed the hands and the head of the miniature. I have to admit that it was not part of the initial plan, because at first I thought about just changing the previous hand that was here for this hand with the combi weapon, and it will be a very simple miniature to do. But then I tried to be a little bit more ambitious. Everything started because I found this bit, this specific hand, and I was like, it will be cool to have like two power fists in this captain. And then I was like, okay, then I need to put that combi weapon somewhere else. And of course I had like a big space on top, and I was like, okay, what can I add to this weapon so it will be cool on top of this captain? I went directly for the Desolation Squad because among the miniatures that I have, they are the ones that have like these cameras on top, and I was like, okay, I can use that to connect the top of the Terminator with the weapon, and I have to say that to me it feels natural, and I used two of them. This one to connect the weapon and this one here, because I do want to think that the weapon right now it's in some kind of like rest position, it's not being used. So if it's activated, it will like lean forward, get into some shooting position, and with the right eye he's going to be able to see everything that this camera can see. So like that, it makes more sense to me, this kitbashing. Then I wanted to add some extra because I felt that the top was going to feel like super empty with that weapon only, so I was like, okay, I should add some kind of ammunition because it's going to be like the perfect excuse to have something on top. And I found this bit from the Heavy Intercessors, and it was perfect because of course he's not going to be able to reload the weapon manually, so there we have like a lot of ammunition that is making the weapon feel a little bit bigger. Finally, I just needed some kind of cable or something to connect the weapon with the power armor. I tried several of them that I had there, but this one felt the most natural for me, so I just went for this one. And I do think that that's the best that we can do when we're trying to do some nice kitbashing or we're trying to make something new. It's always focus into what we have. I use a lot of different kits to make this miniature, but that's the thing when we collect miniatures, that at the end we will have like a lot of different bits, and when we want to do some kind of conversion kitbashing or something unique, we're going to have bits to do whatever we want. And regarding the color scheme, I just used the exact same color scheme that I used for the previous Captain in Terminator Armour. I correct the highlights a little bit, now it feels a little bit nicer. I changed the color scheme of the shoulder pads. I also added some Crusades heels, and I added more gold to the miniature. And I have to say that I like the change. I think that now it looks a little bit better, because of course the previous miniature was painted like 2 years ago, so of course if I take it now and I try to improve it and I make some corrections and I change the color scheme slightly, the result is going to be better. And with all of that being said, this is it. This is my Space Marine Captain in Terminator Armour that I made with a lot of leftover bits, and I'm super happy about the final result. So once again, I invite you to let me know in the comments what you think about this miniature, and as always, if you are still here, please consider giving me a like and subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.